Alright everyone, we start off today talking about Stevencrowder's message the other day. Link in the description. I'm not going to archive it because, it's about a minute and a half. It's a video link to Twitter. Luke We Are Change actually posting this particular clip of it. Crowder warning that there are a number of individuals, that he has a gnosis of it within the right, the leadership, as you would call it, of right-wing media, or actually grifters, who have sold out, at least on the interior. They're working with big tech in some cases. He is fundamentally correct. I think that a lot of people would assume that this is obvious, although I will point out some people, I've seen the speculation, and some of it has to do with feuding fan bases and shit. I've seen people talk about the idea of content creators being grifters for one reason or another. Or if not, the grift is real sort of stuff, like a grifties, like the joking side of it, being compromised in some way. Being a sellout, a shill for a state, a shill for a corporation. In some cases it's branding, hey, I like this product and they happen to be paying me. It might be grifting, but it doesn't necessarily mean that, your coffee company is telling you political talking points to get into or something. The desk chair, the gaming chair company is controlling your message. It goes deeper than that. It's, the person is having meetings through Zoom or something with Facebook execs, stuff like that. And peddling messaging or avoiding certain messaging or certain stories altogether that would otherwise be newsworthy because they're being, at least in part, controlled. Now, it's fashionable to talk about how this is a left-wing problem. So you've got BreadTube. They got exposed a while back. Some of their members is taking money from the British government. You have some of the Fusion Gaming and Commentary channeldom inexplicably still allowed on highly censorious platforms despite having supposedly edgy opinions in some cases, and on Twitch this was explicitly the case. You remember the leaks last year, getting paid by the platforms to make content, literally getting handed money simply to do streaming on a platform, when again, their views technically run afoul of TOS, but it's overlooked. It goes into something that I've said for some time, which is differential enforcement is the devil with regards to big tech rules. If you want to have a draconian site that has really amped up on steroids TOS, so that there's a lot that you can't talk about, a lot of opinions you can't have, but you apply that evenly, eventually the platform dies. The platforms know this, and so they cherry pick a handful of people to be fundamentally controlled opposition, and they try to get them to sell out. Religious groups do this all the time, by the way. I've had this experience myself. I have had numerous entities over the years trying to compromise me. I have been offered extremely, by my standards, extremely large sums to peddle certain messaging. I have always held off. Hell, I don't even take ad revenue on YouTube. I will vouch for myself, as any other creator obviously would. I think the proof is in the pudding, though. One way in which I tend to look at a channel or a persona, like a group, a media group, conservative leader, etc. Of course, not being a conservative myself, I tend to get along with them better than the uber censorship left. One thing that I do is I look at, are they being screwed by the big tech platforms? If I see someone that arguably straddles the very line of the TOS of a site, and they've never been throttled, they're clearly growing, they've never faced any form of ban, demonetization, etc. For them, everything is working perfectly fine, and yet they might be more edgy than someone who is being screwed, blued, and tattooed on YouTube, on Twitch, wherever. If they're still inexplicably growing, that can set off alarm bells to me. Now, sometimes it's not the case. Sometimes it's because they have a beefy off-site network. So they've branched out into new tech. That's helping buff their numbers up. They've got their own organization. They have the money, like with Tim Pool. He has the money to advertise in Times Square. The fact that he's probably throttled by YouTube, I don't think really matters at this point. His growth appears to be organic. I personally do not consider him to be a sellout. I'll vouch for, there are several others that I'll vouch for. I will vouch for Razor Fist. I have a gnosis of the fact that he has not actually sold out. He'll have sold out when he starts putting pineapple on his pizza. Put it that way. Lauren Southern, I don't believe, has sold out. She's sparred with other larger individuals within the lexicon of the right, some of which, additionally, I would vouch for. I don't think Paul Joseph Watson's a sellout either, even though they've gone at it like wolves before in the past. But there are people, I could name several names, but I won't do so because I don't like to get into the e-drama side of things, and I don't want a big fucking freak show going on that I end up involved with because, you know, I make fucking videos, dude. I've been doing this since the late 2000s. Technically, it was 2007. Would it be mid or late 2000s? Which one does it count as? What's the threshold? Is it 2007 or 2008? I'm not 100% sure. Anyway, there are some individuals that I know are glowing ones. I know this, to be clear. There are some that I know have taken the corporate teat, to be clear. To one degree or another, it's not usually you've been completely bought. It's more like you're being unduly influenced. Well, the whole point of independent content creation is you're independent. This is why I've even steered clear of relatively rudimentary, normal, not exactly high level like contractual deals. I've been offered those too. You know, we'll pay you on a monthly rolling basis to make certain kinds of videos. Well, once you get that locked in, they have influence over your opinions within those videos. Of course, they're telling you to push that particular messaging for a fucking reason. They're not paying you out of the kindness of your heart. There are occasional times in which if you've taken maybe the initiative and you've buffed up a site, you've buffed up an idea, etc., good things will come to you. But you know, you weren't coerced into doing it. You simply agreed with the messaging preemptively. When somebody is trying to get you aboard the corporate teat, it can be a big problem. It's something I've vigorously avoided. I would prefer that more people hate me than that I sell out, because I wouldn't be, I mean, what would the fun in content creation be? That's half the point. Half the point of the reason why this is a fun job is that I can talk about whatever the fuck I want. If I want to start e-drama, I can start it with literally anyone. It's my prerogative that I avoid, but it's possible. Crowder's correct. I think that you can probably guess a few groups of people, a few, in his words, right-wing leaders within the media that have sold out to big tech. Who do you think he's talking about? I think that there's a couple of obvious potential names there. Yeah. Daily Wire. Anyway, when I look at the situation, it's like no shit. On one level, it's a no shit argument, but it requires that people actually say, look, I have inside knowledge. I'm going to be nice enough not to name names, but I'm well aware of the fact that some of these people are getting screwy. And it's inevitable. Big tech has huge amounts of money, which they can give to content creators. In the old days, it was, hey, we've got an ad system, we get super chats and shit, you can make a living here, you can post your Patreon link and stuff like that, you can have merch, you can do YouTube partnering with Teespring or something. That was the old wave of the way things worked. Now it's more like they want to convert into publisher-style on-demand content, and over the next few years they intend to squeeze out all of the actual independent creators more and more, like they're doing to me yet again in the wake of Twitter unthrottling me for a while. It's almost like they're afraid of somebody like me growing on a platform like YouTube. Meanwhile, on Rumble, just hit 129,000 subs, so I'm riding high on that buzz of having been the first and foremost new tech pusher in the entire internet. I'm doing pretty well. Don't worry about me. Clankdom will survive. But, clearly, they're squeezing more and more of that independent content out. They're trying to leave a core that allows them, and if Section 230 is amended, they don't want to be a platform. They want to convert effectively into on-demand, where your account or my account will just be for maybe commenting and rating the content. It'll become a publisher. So there'll be a handful of cherry-picked individuals that'll seem like they're organically grown. Everyone else stops making content and they reap the rewards. They're probably in on that long-term goal. By the way, Razorfist predicted this years ago, that YouTube was marching on towards becoming on-demand. Now, we don't have to worry about that becoming monopolistic, because now you've got upstart sites like Rumble, like BitChute, like Odyssey that are gobbling up more and more users, and they're not going down that route. But as far as the old wave big tech sites that have the big moolah and the government protection, by the way, yes, they are absolutely attempting to cherry pick off a few content creators and groups that were at one time organic and independent and gobble them aboard. They've already done this to elements of the left. The Young Turks is controlled opposition. People who still think that they're independent content. Well, we're grassroots, left progressives. No, you're not. There are pictures of Zhank shaking hands with Susan Wojcicki for a reason. You're part of the club. Elements of BreadTube are parts of that club. That's on the left. It's unthinkable that there wouldn't be controlled opposition right-wing groups that will appear to be grassroots that would be on board. It's not all just Fox News, who is also controlled opposition. You're seeing the next wave of corporate entities begin to coalesce. It'll take years for them to pull it off, but that is their long-term plan. Yes, a move towards publisher-style content as opposed to being a platform where you can express yourself and do what you want, say what you want. They're going to screw people like us over who don't sell out. They're going to try to push us aside so that we either leave the platform and take our toys and go, which will bleed your sites. I hope you understand that apparently they haven't quite thought that side of it out. That's why they're hoping to use the SEC and groups like that to abuse those sites, just to be clear. Library, BitChute with the British authorities. Why do you think it happens all the time? Your payment processors aren't allowed to continue processing payments. It is a wrong think. It would be strange. It would be unthinkable that there wouldn't be right-wingers that were approached too and given a big-ass payday, and then they're allowed to do whatever the fuck they want. Just basically, here's your talking points of the month. You got to cover these 3 stories. You're not allowed to talk about these couple of subjects, and just keep it reasonably clean, like PG-13 level. So they sanitize their own fucking content. They won't swear too much. They won't cover, certain topics. Honk honk. We can understand what those are. If they do, they will, of course, march down the jackboot line of whatever the mainstream tells them to do. Crowder is correct. And he should get credit for being willing to come out and actually point out what is obvious in general, but doesn't get pointed out enough because a lot of people don't want to start the fucking drama. That's about all. Peace out.